The Home Mortgage Law Show is a paid program and is intended as a resource guide for education, information, and entertainment purposes and is not intended to provide specific legal advice. The information that you hear should not be used as a substitute for competent legal advice from a professional attorney. Hiring of an attorney is an important decision which should not be based on advertising or the information that you hear today.
You're listening to the Home Mortgage Law Show, brought to you by the law offices of Morris DuPont. Attorneys Will Morris and Shay DuPont in the house, and they're here for you. Our phone lines are open. It's toll free to call the show and talk to the experts. 866-610-NEWS. That's 866-610-6397. AT&T Wireless customer star 610. Now you can reach us social media on our Facebook page, the Home Mortgage Law Show, sponsored by Morris DuPont, PA. Also on Twitter, it's Morris DuPont, PA. And we have offices just about everywhere from Tampa down south into Miami-Dade County. So if you can hear the show, we've got an office near you.
Yes, we do. And of course, we also want to announce the relocation of our Doral office. It has moved, so any of you that visit us at our Doral office, the law firm of Morris DuPont, has moved. So make sure that you check the office before coming down to the Doral office, because we're about, what'd you say, about a quarter mile away?
Half a mile.
Half mile? Yeah, we've moved. And boy, what a move it's been.
Hey.
We still don't have the phone system
Still have
right.
moving pains.
Yes, we still have moving pains. I curse the day that Comcast was incorporated.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, it's been something. But we're getting through it, and hopefully we are not too behind, catching up every day.
Mm-hmm.
And there's another anniversary that's come up, and that is basically the 5-year near collapse of the nation's financial system.
Yes. Yes. And sadly, or depends on how you look at it, the guys who partially responsible played a big role in causing that collapse. We saw a recent article of them living the high life.
Well, sure.
Still not indicted.
Oh, no.
Still no criminal charges.
Never.
Living high on the hog with their golden parachutes and their multi-million-dollar stock options.
Their beautiful homes all over the United States.
One guy just sold his Park Avenue partner for $26.1 million. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, where is the justice? I mean, these guys are responsible for causing almost the single greatest collapse of the American economy, the world economy. And there they are running around, living the high life, and, no consequences whatsoever.
Seemingly none. No.
Unbelievable.
We were with the article that we were reading, and remember, folks, we post all the articles that we read and go through in preparation for the Home Mortgage Law Show. We post those on our Facebook page. That is the Home Mortgage Law Show, sponsored by Morris DuPont. You can go to our Facebook page and you can actually click through and read any of these articles that would be of interest to you. But the article that Will is referring to, of course, was published by the Center for Public Integrity, and it basically kind of goes through what's happened to some of these people. Yes, that's it. Where are they now? Like Richard Fuld. Richard Fuld was the head of Lehman Brothers Holdings. The 158-year-old company that he ran actually collapsed under the weight of bad investments and sent a tidal wave of panic through the global financial system. And today, Fuld is living quite comfortably.
Yeah, sure. 40-acre ranch.
In Sun Valley, Idaho. Yes,
sure.
The mansion in Greenwich, Connecticut, the 5-bedroom home in Jupiter Island, Florida. And as Will mentioned, he no longer has his Manhattan place because he sold it for
Park Avenue.
Yeah. No longer has it. He sold it for
26 million.
Yeah.
There
Must
you
be
go.
nice. And then, there was a couple more that they mentioned in the article. The head of Bear Stearns.
Bear Stearns, and there was a good fellow from Merrill Lynch.
Mm-hmm.
All these guys, one of them is now a bridge champion. He spends his time paying people $100,000 a year so he can remain in a top-seeded bridge player.
Bridge as in the card game?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what he should be doing. He shouldn't be managing other people's money anymore.
Yeah, but he's sitting there just enjoying life.
What do you expect? You know how this all works.
Yeah,
you know how it works.
The big guys never get the shaft.
Washington and the Wall Street are in bed together.
Sure.
There's nothing that's ever going to happen to these people. I mean,
Right. I like the excuse that was given. Well, if we go ahead and prosecute these people, it will cause a further damage to the economy and possibly cause a further meltdown. So we decided not to prosecute them.
Too big to fail.
Exactly.
That's what they keep saying.
Too big to prosecute.
fail. Yeah.
too big to prosecute. I've never heard of such a thing.
The one percenters. I don't know.
Yeah.
Must be nice.
Yeah, I'm taking to some park somewhere and start protesting this very afternoon.
Well, there is some good news this week.
What's
Florida is no longer number one in the foreclosures across the United States.
Yeah.
Florida held the top position for the amount of foreclosures of any state in the union for the last 3 months.
Right.
This month, September, glad to know it dropped to number 2.
Let me guess, Nevada?
Yes, sir, you are correct. Correct, sir.
Nevada's taking over the number 1 spot.
Absolutely.
We pointed out last week, I think the numbers in Florida is a little bit skewed a little bit, because I think, when we talked a lot about the new bill that was supposed to have sped up the whole foreclosure process, the HB 87 that was passed in June 1st.
The dreaded HB 87.
And everybody's jumping up and down claiming it's going to have a devastating effect on homeowners because it was going to deny them certain due process rights, which it might still have that effect. But sadly, even though the banks are pushing for it, is having a sort of unintended effect of slowing down the amount of foreclosures that are being filed by the bank because of the new requirements to have them justify and establish the chain of title to these mortgages. And it only sort of highlights the problems that the banks have had all along, and it sort of highlights the problems which resulted in the robo-signing issue. They have lost paperwork left and right and are creating them and causing people to submit false affidavits relating to these mortgages. So when the new law was passed requiring that they submit these affidavits ahead of actually filing the lawsuit, it turns out the banks realized that, wait a minute, we don't have our ducks in a row. We have to slow down the filing of these foreclosures till we can actually establish that we are indeed possession of the note and we can establish how we got in possession of it. So the totally opposite effect has occurred. Rather than speeding up the foreclosure process, it has sort of put a bottleneck in the amount of foreclosures that are being filed. So I would guess that the slipping of Florida to the second position is probably a direct result of HB 87 being passed.
Oh, that is a very interesting
Yeah.
theory, Will.
Yeah.
I like it. And it does make sense
Sure.
because we have seen, I know Pinellas County has seen a 30% drop in the amount of foreclosure filings. I don't have the statistics for the other counties, but we're seeing definitely a drop in the foreclosure filings. And you're saying it's not that borrowers are any less in default.
Absolutely.
It's that it's taking the lender even longer to file the foreclosure action because they can't get the paperwork in order to file it.
Remember back when the robo-signing issue, I think it was at 2010?
Yep.
When the robo-signing
October.
issue became a big deal and there was a noticeable slowdown in the amount of foreclosures that were filed because banks decided to go back and look at all these foreclosures they had filed to determine whether or not they had any robo-signing issues. Similarly here, I think with the HB 87, I think banks are slowing down the process of running in to file these foreclosures until they can actually submit an affidavit that's not later on proven to be false.
Very interesting. And how about the increase in the number of days that a foreclosure is taking?
Mm-hmm.
Realty Track is reporting that the number of days that an average foreclosure case takes in Florida, meaning from the time that the lender files the lawsuit to a foreclosure sale, is now 900 days?
900 days.
Is that possible?
I'm going to do the math real quick.
Oh, God.
That's
Oh,
like
God.
10 years?
Oh,
Am I off?
jeez. More than 2.5 years, sir. 2.5 years.
Okay.
That's crazy. When I meet with people, Morris DuPont does free consultations for any of the listeners. Anyone who wants to make an appointment can come in. It's free of charge. We will sit down and we will tell you what we think your options are regarding your property, whether it's a loan modification, a short sale, settling a second mortgage. You got to call.
That number is 1-800-974-2712. 1-800-974-2712. Free consultation, law offices of Morris DuPont. We'll have much more on the Home Mortgage Law Show coming up right after this break. You're listening to the Home Mortgage Law Show, brought to you by the law offices of Morris DuPont. Attorneys Will Morris, Shay DuPont, and we're here for you every Saturday afternoon from 2 until 4 o'clock on News Talk 610, 100.3 WIOD, and 970 WFLA. The number's the same if you're in the car, if you're at home, in the office. Pick up the phone. Call the experts now on the show. It's toll-free, 866-610-NEWS. That's 866-610-6397. AT&T Wireless customers, star 610.
Oh, Natalie, you're such a great producer. We're
Isn't
so
she,
lucky to have you. I just watch you over there, so professional.
She's a professional.
She's a professional, unlike us.
Yeah, we're schmoes over
We're
here.
lawyers, and then we do this show, and we have no idea what we're doing every week.
Exactly.
Great
And then
sense of humor, is intelligent,
Coming over here to wing it.
dedicated.
No, but see,
We are dedicated.
Extremely.
I am
That is true.
dedicated to this. I mean, I
That's
really
true.
want to help homeowners out there understand a lot of what's going on. I mean, listen, folks, we read probably 20 to 25 articles at a minimum every week to try
It was
to
3
bring,
inches thick today.
Yeah, it was heavy this week, to try to bring you the most relevant news regarding your home mortgage. What's going on out there, whether it's foreclosure defense, loss mitigation, including loan modifications, short sales. But I got to tell you, Will, of those articles, probably, let's say 15 to 20% of the articles drive me crazy. And there was especially an article this past week that drove me crazy. Well,
Here it
because
comes.
of the inaccurate information.
But you know, it's
They were
it's
talking
lazy
about a
journalism.
short
Right.
sale, and they had no idea what they were talking about regarding a short sale. And these, they're talking about, remember that article that was all about the negative equity in
Right,
Florida?
right.
And that, 30% of homeowners with a mortgage on their property in the state of Florida have negative equity on their property.
Okay.
And they gave a great example of a guy in Boca Raton who bought his house for like over $900,000.
Right.
And now, woe is me, it's only worth $600,000. And he's talking about how he's going to be forced to stay there, and it's probably going to take 5 years.
Right.
And then the reporter is saying, you either have to stay there or you have to bring cash to the table. And I'm like pulling out my hair.
No.
Like, what about a short sale?
The guy has to bring $300,000 to the table.
It's so crazy. Of course you don't have to bring $300,000 to the
Unbelievable.
table. It's called a short sale.
Right.
You can do a short sale. The lenders waive deficiencies in short sales. We do them every day.
Reminds you of the lady who called last week, said she didn't have the money to bring to the closing of a modification.
Right? Yeah, I know there's so much misinformation out there. So yes, we are dedicated. What we're dedicated to is giving you a place where you can go and get accurate information about all of these programs that are available to you to help you, the distressed homeowner, out so that you can understand very clearly what your options are. Can you qualify for a loan modification? And if so, what is a loan modification going to do for you?
And how do you get one? Do you require perfect credit? Do you need to bring money to the closing? Oh, no, and no.
There's no closing. You don't pay for a loan mod. It's the lender will agree to modify the terms of your existing mortgage for free,
Right.
and that will result in a lowered monthly mortgage payment.
It is not a new mortgage. It's the modification of the existing mortgage.
There. And with a short sale, the goal for any short sale is twofold. You want to be able to get the deficiency amount waived. Well, what's a deficiency? In the example I used from the article that we read, the guy bought the house for $900,000. It's now worth $600,000. If he was to short sell it, the house would sell for $600,000. The lender would only get $600,000, and the lender is owed $900,000. So that $300,000 difference is the deficiency.
Right.
And lenders are forgiving, waiving, releasing you of personal liability on that deficiency
Because
amount.
understand this, because you signed a note obligating yourself to pay $900,000, the $900,000 you borrowed to buy this house, you are obligated, regardless of what the house is worth, to pay $900,000. So if the house only sells for $600,000, you have a $300,000 deficit. And what Shay's talking about, the lenders are agreeing to let you walk away from that $300,000 obligation, right?
It sounds simple, but it's not, because there's so much misinformation out there. People think that there will be continued to be on the hook for that deficiency amount, or they come to me and they say, "Yeah, but I have assets.
Yeah.
The $300,000 is actually a HELOC
Right.
that used that $300,000 to buy another house. So are they going to take away
Right.
the other house?
Right, because people think about it as a regular judgment. It is not a regular judgment.
Right.
Let's back up for a second. A foreclosure lawsuit is not necessarily a lawsuit against you as an individual. It's against your interest in the property. The bank is seeking to foreclose, as it were, your interest in the property so they can then get free title to be able to transfer it to a third party. So when they get the judgment against your interest in the property, not against you personally.
Oh, I have to think about that. So, but I'm named as the defendant.
Right.
So aren't they suing me personally?
Well, they're suing your interest in the property, but unlike regular judgments, when they sue you and the judgment attaches to you and your personal assets, in a foreclosure lawsuit, the judgment merely evaporates, extinguishes your interest in the property.
Well, what does it do to that deficiency amount? So if in the example we were using, I owe the bank $900,000 and at a foreclosure sale, it only sells for $600,000. There's still $300,000 of that note that I signed for that still I haven't paid back yet. So what happens to that?
Right, good question. The foreclosure lawsuit, while it forecloses your interest, it does nothing regarding that deficiency amount. If the bank is seeking to hold you personally responsible for that deficiency amount, they have to go a step further to sue you personally for that deficiency amount. The simple foreclosure judgment doesn't do that.
So another lawsuit against me?
Possibly, yes.
And how often does the lender actually file those lawsuits against
We
people?
haven't seen a ton of them, but they have the right to do so.
For how long?
Well, these days, their right to do so has been reduced to 1 year. So they have a year after, it used to be 5 years. A year after they've actually sold the property, they have that right to come after you for the deficiency amount. And if they don't come after you within that 1 year period, they never can.
Okay, so if I avoid service of another lawsuit for 1 year, or I leave town for a year and they can't find me, does that mean that I'm released of personal liability for that amount?
Not necessarily so, Shay. Unfortunately, the clock stops running when the lawsuit is filed, not when you get served. So if they file it within that 1 year period, or they go to the court and ask for that deficiency judgment within that 1 year period, they can still pursue you even though you try to avoid service.
Oh, okay. Well, what if I leave town for 5 years?
Well, sooner or later, they're going to go to the court and convince the judge, look, we can't find Shay. She's running from us. We should be able to publish the notice that the lawsuit is pending, and she's going to be deemed to have notice of the lawsuit actually being filed against her. Well, look, I'm not a big fan of service by publication because it's the least effective way of letting somebody know there's a lawsuit against them. But the law allows a plaintiff to serve you by publication if they can establish that they can't serve you personally.
That's such a good point, Will. The point is do not avoid service of process, folks, because it's not the serving of you with the lawsuit, it's the filing of the lawsuit.
That stops the clock from running.
That stops the statute of limitations. So there's no point in avoiding a process server because
it's true. You're better off knowing.
Yeah.
Because at some point they're going to be able to serve you by publication. The next thing you know, if you're not going to know. They published the notice of the lawsuit in something called the Business Law Journal, right? And other than lawyers, I know the Business Law Review, right? What's it called?
the Daily Business Review.
I got it wrong twice. The Daily Business Review.
No, in different counties, I think you're right.
Right. It's some one of those, but in Dade County, for example, is Daily Business Review. And other than lawyers and maybe realtors, I know very few people who actually read that publication. So if they publish the notice of your lawsuit, it's very likely you're not going to know there's a lawsuit pending against you.
Right. So they have to make how many attempts before they can?
I think it's in the neighborhood of 3 attempts, and they fill out an affidavit and go to the court and say, "Look, court, we've tried this, we've tried that, and we've tried the other. We can't serve them, so allow us to serve them by publication."
And the court allows it.
Yeah, sure.
So there's no point in avoiding service, folks. Well, I want to go back to one thing, and that is the 900 days that it is taking for a lender to complete a foreclosure. What does that mean?
Well, it means from the time the bank actually accelerates the balance of the mortgage, like you're in default. You know what? I'm getting a high sign from Natalie, a lovely producer.
And I want to hear the answer, so let's save it.
You're listening to the Home Mortgage Law Show, 1-800-974-2712. 1-800-974-2712. Much more of the Home Mortgage Law Show right after this. You're listening listening to the Home Mortgage Law Show, brought to you by the law offices of Morris DuPont. Attorneys Will Morris and Shay DuPont are here for you. We're with you every Saturday afternoon from 2 until 4. And right now, our phone lines are open. It's toll free to call the show and talk to the experts. If you've got a question, a concern, you want to tell us your story, if you're looking for, some sort of guidance, that's what they're here for. The number is 866-610-NEWS, 866-610-6397. AT&T Wireless customer star 610.
And before the break, I was asking my esteemed partner about a new report that foreclosures in the state of Florida are taking up to 900 days. And I was asking you, Will, if you could give us a little clarification on that. What does that mean?
Okay. Well, it depends on where the clock starts. Typically, the clock starts ticking at the time the lender sends out an acceleration notice advising the borrower that, look, you're in default of your payments on your mortgage, and unless you make good on it in 30 days, we have to write to commence a foreclosure lawsuit against you. That's called the acceleration letter. It's a requirement under the law that they advise you of this and give you an opportunity to cure that default. So the clock starts running from the time the acceleration letter gets sent out and it stops at the time of the foreclosure sale. So 900 days between the time you've got notice that you're in default and the bank advising you they're going to accelerate the full balance, meaning they no longer want monthly payments. What they want is the full balance. Right?
Okay, so the time between the notice of default or notice of acceleration
to the time of the sale,
and at the time of the foreclosure sale, that's the 900
That's
days.
the 900 days.
So people, you should be aware, if you go past due on your mortgage and you receive a notice of default, it's not like the sheriff is going to come and evict you from your property anytime soon. It looks like you might have 900 days.
On average. Sure.
Yeah. Now, also, I think that's very interesting, Will, that notice of acceleration, that notice of default normally happens after someone has missed how many months of payments?
On average, I'd say about 3 payments, three payments.
Okay,
yes,
so 90 days.
90 days.
So if you have missed 3 months of payments on your mortgage and you receive a notice of acceleration, I think, Will, it's also important to note that is not an indication truly of when the lender is going to file a foreclosure
Absolutely.
action.
At the very minimum, they can't file it for 30 days after they've sent you the notice.
Okay, but how many times have we had clients that have made a decision, they're doing a strategic default, they can't afford their payments, they have defaulted on their mortgage, the 90 days happens, they receive the notice of acceleration, and they call in a panic.
Right. And
it looks like we're going to be served with a foreclosure action soon because we got this notice.
Right.
And then the 30 days that they have to cure the default, meaning pay to the lender that 3 months of past
plus
due.
the late fees.
Right. That also expires, and they're sure that they're going to be a foreclosure is going to be filed against them anytime soon. Do you really think that the notice of acceleration is any indication of the timeline in which the lender is going to file a foreclosure action?
Absolutely not. We've seen situations where people sit around with that acceleration notice in their pockets for months and months on end and not being served. They come to us.
We could say years and years, sir.
Yes, absolutely. They come to us in a panic, and I say, look, there's nothing I can do for you now. Once you get served, the first thing you do after you get served with a complaint, somebody comes and knocks on your door and gives you a copy of it, assuming you're not avoiding service, and we've already established that's not a good idea. Do not avoid it. When they serve you with a foreclosure lawsuit, then the next thing you do, you pick up the phone and you call me. You come and you sit down, and you then have 30 days to respond to the lawsuit or 20 days to respond to the lawsuit. We respond it, and we deal with it accordingly. And presumably, your 900 days really starts running from then.
All right.
So
I like you.
Right. So you, at the very minimum, you've got 3 months before the notice is sent out, and God knows we've seen months and months and months and months after the notice has been sent out before a lawsuit is actually filed. So you really, when you say 900 days, it's really, 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 it's on average.
Yeah.
We've seen a lot longer.
I don't say 900 days in consultations.
Yeah.
I say a minimum of 18 months.
Which is a very conservative and doable time frame.
Yeah.
But,
because I don't want to get people's expectations up, but I know I want them to be able to plan their life. So I want them to know, that they're going to have time at minimum 18 months to be there.
Right.
So, there's
And then look, there's
no
enough
rush to go
right.
looking for a rental.
Right. And there's 18 months is a lot of time. A lot of things can happen. You might think in the beginning, look, we're going to lose this house. It's going to be sold at foreclosure. And we can't afford the modification. We don't have the income. And who knows, in 18 months, your circumstances change. And lo and behold, some way down the line, we could determine, wait a minute, we could plan a different exit strategy for you here. Rather than sitting around and having your house sold in a foreclosure or having to do a short sale, maybe you can otherwise qualify for a modification at this point.
Sir, that is another good point that you've just brought
I'm just
up.
hitting them out of the park today, ain't I?
Because a lot of people believe that once a foreclosure action is filed against them, that all those options go out the window.
Right, they do not.
Not at all.
No. As a matter of fact, I like to think you have a lot more control once a foreclosure lawsuit is filed because you know how it's going. You know how it's going to progress because if you've got a lawyer who's representing you, we can advise you and say, look, we think you've got another 8 months, 9 months, a year left based on how the case is progressing, and you will know how to plan your life accordingly.
Right. So in your example, let's say that you became unemployed, thus you weren't able to make the mortgage payments.
Sure.
So you got behind, and lo and behold, at some point a foreclosure action was filed against you. And then a year into the foreclosure action having been filed against you, you become employed.
Right. Win the lotto, something.
Well, that's not income, Will. That's not income. At that point, you just pay off the bank. Offer them a short payoff and and go buy.
I wish that for everybody who's in trouble.
Yeah, one of those nice houses. So,
right.
So the thing is, though, is that you still have the option of submitting and trying to qualify for a loan modification, even if you are in foreclosure and you've been in foreclosure for a long time.
Right, absolutely. We've had people who come to us on like the eve sometime of a foreclosure sale, and we're able to submit a modification application, go to court, get the sale date extended.
Shh! Stop saying that.
Okay.
Otherwise, we'll have people coming in. Oh, it's really hard.
I don't like it. It's difficult.
I have to stop everything in the loss mitigation department. Everybody stop what you're working on. We've got to get this application in the next 8 hours.
That's a big scramble.
Oh, it's insane.
Yeah. No, but we've gotten it done. We don't like it, but we do it all the time.
You have pulled that rabbit out of the hat many a time, sir. Many a time. Always impressed by it. Don't forget, folks, if you have questions for us about your particular case, if you are in default, if you have a foreclosure case pending, if you are trying to understand what your options are, and you don't want to talk on the radio, you can always call the law firm of Morris DuPont and set up a consultation with us because they are free. And let me tell you where our offices are. We've got offices in St. Petersburg, Tampa, Dadeland, Doral, Aventura, Fort Lauderdale, Plantation, Boca Raton, and West Palm Beach. Believe me, if you can hear our voice, there is an office nearby, and you are welcome to call the office right now and schedule your free consultation. The number to call is 800-974-2712. That's 800-974-2712. But if you're driving, you don't need to remember that number. And for goodness sakes, don't punch it in now. Just remember the website. That's homemortgagelaw.com. That will lead you to the website for Morris DuPont. Our phone number is on there. You can even schedule your appointment and request an appointment through the website, homemortgagelaw.com. Remember that, and you can schedule your free consultation. But if you'd like to talk to us now, give us a call at the radio station. Natalie?
866-610-NEWS. That's 866-610-6397. And if you're an AT&T Wireless customers, just dial star 610.
We're here for you.
Absolutely. Either here live on the radio or through an appointment.
Absolutely. Although I must tell you, Natalie's given me the finger.
It's a one.
It's
a one. Number one. You're number one.
I hear you. I hear you.
Index finger.
Right. I must tell you that I am wondering whether or not we should be opening an office down there in the Bradenton area, because we've got a lot of people that listen to us down there.
Before, haven't
down
you? And
in
it's
the
a long
Bradenton
drive.
area, and it's a drive up to St. Petersburg. So if you're down in that Bradenton area and you're looking for some assistance, give us a call at the radio and let us know you want us to open an office in Bradenton. And you know what? If enough people call in, I'm happy to open an office in Bradenton.
Absolutely.
Spend maybe half a day down there in Bradenton, taking consultations, meeting with people down there. I actually do a lot of the consultations. So does J.C. Castro in our office. We're basically the two that go outside of the main offices and meet with people. I'm always happy to do so. We say it's an hour consultation, but frankly, I'm happy to meet with you as long as it takes for you to walk out feeling like you are now completely educated about what your options are. Any misconceptions that you might have had are now cleared up.
You're listening to the Home Mortgage Law Show, 1-800-974-2712, 1-800-974-2712. That is a toll-free number for your free consultation at the law offices of Morris DuPont, 1-800-974-2712. Much more of the Home Mortgage Law Show right after this.
When you want iconic music, there's only one choice.
To the Home Mortgage Law Show, brought to you by the law offices of Morris DuPont. Attorneys Will Morris and Shay DuPont here for you. The number to call the studio and talk to these experts, it's 866-610-NEWS, 866-610-6397. AT&T Wireless customer, star 610.
And we've got someone on the phone.
Al. Hi, Al.
Al. Hello, Al. What happened to Al? Had such a great...
Well, Al actually, I believe, has a second home with a large HELOC, and I think he wants to modify, but he doesn't really know how to go about it.
Well,
Yeah, he had called the right place.
There you go.
We had answers for him.
actually, that's a very good question, because there's two different ways to deal with a second mortgage. And it depends on whether or not that second mortgage is secured by the property or unsecured by the property. What does that mean? That means you have to know what the value of the first mortgage is, and you have to know what the value of the second mortgage is. What is the principal balance of both of those mortgages? And then I need to know what the current market value of the property is. If the current market value of the property is less than the value or the principal balance of the first mortgage, that means that the second mortgage is not secured by the property anymore.
Entirely unsecured.
Exactly. So in that case, what I always recommend is a complete default on the second mortgage, because that lender's certainly not going to file a foreclosure action. There's nothing for them to get out of a foreclosure sale, because the proceeds of a foreclosure sale would go to the senior lien holder, which is mortgage number one.
And they will say, thank you for spending all that money for filing the foreclosure lawsuit, but we'll take it all.
Yeah, exactly. So the second lien holder is not going to file a foreclosure action if you default. They're going to sit back and see what you and the first lender decide on.
Hello.
Oh, there's
Hey,
Al.
there's Al.
Yeah, a little difficulty. To give you a little more detail.
Yeah, because we need to know what the principal balance of the first mortgage is.
Yes, I have all that for you here.
Okay.
The first mortgage is very small. It's $22,000. It's held by a small local bank in Inverness. The HELOC is a Bank of America HELOC at $245,000. The market value, if the house were in perfect condition, probably $160,000. It needs a new roof badly, so I have estimates on the order of $20,000. So I believe the value would be about $140,000.
Okay. So, Al, in your situation, because you have an unusual situation in that you have a very small first mortgage, we know now that the second mortgage holder has a secured
Partial
interest in the
security.
property. They're unsecured for a certain amount, a little under $100,000, but they have a secured interest in the property. So, yes, I think a loan modification on that investment property would be a very good idea. And because it is an investment property, it does not use that 31% of gross income figure. Have you tried to submit a loan modification application to Bank of America yet?
Yes, with no response. I am current, and I think this probably contributes to the lack of a response.
I agree with
Ding,
you,
ding,
Al.
ding.
That is a problem when you want to try to get a loan modification and you are wanting to remain current, you normally get no response from the lender because what is their incentive to modify the terms of your existing mortgage
If you're paying.
Yeah, and decrease your monthly mortgage payment by 30-40% when you're current, and as far as they know, you're going to remain current. So they normally won't do a loan modification for someone who's current. You have to be in default. What I like to tell people who want to be very conservative in that default is just do a rolling 30 days past due. You miss 1 month. Let's say you miss October 1st payment. Well, come November, around the 15th of the month, maybe the 13th, just at the tail end of the grace period, make one payment and one late fee. Now you're 14 days past due, right? You've now paid up through the end of October, but you're paying on the 14th of November and you haven't made a November payment. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I understand exactly.
So if you do that rolling 30 days and do a loan modification application that way, then you have a much better chance of getting Bank of America's attention. You can do that rolling up to 60 days, but then after 60 days, it starts to get a little tricky because, like Will was talking about earlier today, if you go past 80 days past due, your lender will most likely send you a notice of acceleration and tell you, we're not going to accept single month payments any longer. You have to pay back the 3 months that you are past due, or we're going to put you in foreclosure. So that's why I say conservatively, be a rolling 30 days past due to submit that loan mod application. A little less conservative, 60-day rolling past due. Anything more than that, and you really should have someone that you're working with doing that application for you because it could get very tricky at that point.
Thank you very much.
Sure. Good luck with the loan modification application. You know, it's really hard to tell people exactly what they could get on a loan modification on an investment property. The flip side of that is it's very easy for me in a consultation with you to tell you what I think you'll be able to get for a loan modification payment in a loan modification for your primary residence. Why is that? Because the lender has a formula that is easy for us to calculate. They are to modify the terms of your existing mortgage to create a monthly mortgage payment that includes escrowing of taxes and insurance that is at or below 31% of your gross income. That's easy. All I've got to do is calculate what your monthly gross income is, and I can do that with pay stubs. You can tell me what your yearly or monthly income is, or I can do it with profit and loss statements, and then I times that by 31%. I deduct an HOA fee, and voila. That's what I think your lender will modify the terms of your mortgage to get the payment down to. Super easy. I know we've got a couple more calls.
Yes, we do. Let's go with Lisa.
Hi, Lisa.
Hello.
Hi.
What can we do for you today?
Well, I need your help. I have a first and second mortgage on my property. I am not upside down. I am current. I have 9 years left on the property. Bank of America is my lender. They have denied me for a loan modification. And my husband and I did file for Chapter 13 2.5 years ago. We have 2.5 years left to pay off what we promised to pay back to our lenders.
Mm-hmm.
And my husband is self-employed, and I lost my job, so I don't have an income. And we are current on our mortgage, but we're exhausting our savings. And as I said, BOA denied us. Do you have any options?
What is the principal balance on your first mortgage?
About 180,000.
And the principal balance on the second?
About 25.
And the current market value of the property?
It's about 250.
That is one of the reasons why Bank of America would have denied you, is because you have this positive equity in the property and because you're current. They don't see you as having a hardship.
Right.
But there is I want you to contact the bankruptcy attorney that you did the Chapter 13 with. And
I did.
And what did they say about requesting mediation through the Chapter 13?
He said, leave it alone because we're paying a nominal amount of money back, and we only owe $4,500 left, that my options are really, there aren't any. I said to stay with the Chapter 13 the way it is.
I think she might be right because you can't go past due because you're in a Chapter 13.
Right.
And you've got $45,000 in positive equity on the property, so that's also an issue. So not everyone is a good candidate for a loan modification, and I don't want you to keep banging your head against a wall. I don't think that's the option for you. Possibly see if you've got a Fannie or a Freddie loan. Go to Fannie Mae loan lookup, Freddie Mac loan lookup. See if you've got a government loan. See if you can refinance.
You're listening to the Home Mortgage Law Show, 1-800-974-2712. 1-800-974-2712. That's your free consultation at the law offices of Morris DuPont. After the break, Armando and Paul's calls here on the Home Mortgage Law Show.